College ball. For the 17th straight week, Kentucky is the #1 team in the AP poll. With the win tonight over Georgia, Kentucky will become the 13th team to start a season as 30-0 or better. Now take a look at this full screen, folks. The last time a team went undefeated and won it all, Indiana, 75-76. I'm sure Danny Cannell knew that, though. Most recently, the last 3 teams to start 30-0 have failed to win it all. But, will Kentucky remain undefeated? Kate.
Absolutely. They're winning it all. They're running the table.
100%?
100%.
I'd take a wager.
Wins the title. Earlier in the year, I questioned them. I questioned whether they had too many good players, too many egos to manage, that they wouldn't be able to do that, that there would be some sort of riff at some point. Guys would get upset with their roles not being what they wanted to be. But people down in Kentucky, I have friends down in Kentucky, they're like, this is different. This team is special, and not just athletically, not just how you're putting them on the floor and how they play together, but the chemistry and the emotion these guys bring to each game. I don't see anybody beating them. I think there's no chance. I think they absolutely win the title.
I know you're going to disagree, so go ahead.
I'm going to disagree. They're a great team, and yeah, I mean, I'd have to get some odds on that bet if I took that bet. Here's a couple problems that I see with Kentucky. One, and I would never, Freddie knows this, I would never want to bash the SEC.
No, not at all.
That's not what you're known for.
Exactly.
That's not what you're known for at all.
Not exactly the powerhouse. So they're not getting tested. And if you talk about greatness, and they are great, they've blown out everybody they faced. I mean, Arkansas, we're talking about them, it's 32-16, like that. They've only played 3 ranked teams. They haven't been taken down to the wire. So how do they fare when all of a sudden they have not been tested and it comes in crunch time? I think they go through the regular season. I think they run the table there. But when they get to the tournament, I think there are several teams that could match up with them and that could get them down into where there's 5 minutes left in the game and it's tied. And how does a group of young players, yeah, they have 9 McDonald's All-Americans, yeah, they're studs, how do they respond when they're faced with that type of adversity?
Well, here's 2 examples for you on that one. They were in a dogfight with Texas A&M on the road, won that game in double overtime. That was back on January 10th. Then against LSU, February 10th.
What's Texas A&M? How are they doing?
But they're make the NCAA tournament.
So they're in the tournament.
LSU, long front line, had a chance to beat them, lost that ball game 71-69 February 10th. So I think to your point about not being tested, they've been tested because their mental toughness has enabled them to say, we're not going to lose. It's not about ego. It's not about this, not about that. So you're right. They're going to face better teams. We clearly understand that. If they run into Virginia with their pack line defense, Tony Bennett, one of the best coaches in the country, that's not going to be an easy game. If they run into a Duke, if they're making those shots from the outside, those 3-point shooters, whether it's Tyus Jones and guys like that, also the kid, Winslow is really starting to come along. I saw his father play. You know how old I am when I saw his dad play. Now I'm seeing his son. But I just think their defense and mental toughness, they can guard so many different positions. They're like Noah's Ark. They have 2 of everything to guard everything on the basketball court. And also, they love the pressure. They welcomed Arkansas. Oh, yeah, we've beaten you the last 3 times. We're going to come in the Rupp Arena. Kentucky's like, well, we'll see about that.
But
and what
that's
happened?
Not pressure. They were 15-point favorite.
When you have Kentucky across the front of your chest, you know this. You played at Florida State. When you have Florida State across the front of your jersey, there's always going to be pressure a lot more inside your program than anything on the outside of that program. You put Kentucky across the front of your chest, they know what kind of pressure they're going to have to deal with. And now you got an undefeated season. Just hearing Karl Anthony Towns and Willie Cauley, yeah, we welcome that. We want to show people that we are a great basketball team. And the way you show that is not just winning a national championship, but you become the first team since UNLV to get to a Final Four undefeated, the first team since Indiana to win a national championship undefeated. That pressure is something that they've been able to use as fuel and feed off of that. So any tight game they have, you're going to have to beat them. Kentucky is not going to beat themselves. And I'm with Kate. I think they finished the regular season undefeated. It's not going to be easy because Wisconsin, with the way that they play, will give them a little bit of a battle. Arizona, with the way they play, their long front line, will give them a battle. But I think what's all said and done, their defense will be their calling card and their mental toughness. I think that'll be more than enough for them to win a national championship and finish undefeated.
Wow, both you guys.
And I think we talk about, well, if they have an off night,
Right.
what could happen. But they've had off nights. I mean, look at their early season game against Louisville.
Danny's not buying it.
That game 58-50 in Louisville.
Yeah. And who was their leading scorer? A guy who coming in was their 9th leading scorer. Their starters did not shoot well. Their 2 stars were combined 4 for 15 shooting. I mean, they could go all the way down to their 8th or 9th player if the top 7 are just shooting poorly and still win at that time a top 12 ranked team.
You could make a case that there could be 2 teams from Kentucky that could run the table in the regular season.
Fair.
I mean,
That's true.
you really could
Fair.
make that case. So I cheated a little bit.
Did you?
Barry does this. Because I taught my golfing buddy Seth Greenberg, who's our college basketball analyst.
This is true.
So I texted him before the show, and I'm like, everybody says Kentucky can win, but who could beat them? You named a couple: Wisconsin, Bo Ryan, efficiently coached team. Frank Kaminsky, who was great on Mike and Mike.
He really
by the way.
was. He's
doing their Twitter
fantastic.
test. Arizona, long, lengthy, athletic. They could challenge athleticism. And then the last one, he didn't have Virginia, but he said Duke, with Jahlil Okafor. They're talking about the 3-pointers from the outside. So some of the similar points you made. And for me, it's not the NBA where it's a 7-game series where one day you could have your 5, and you don't necessarily have to leave the depth to question it. It's just one game, lay it on the line. Things could go your way.
Danny,
so I
you
would
didn't
take
have
the
to
field.
say that you talked to Seth. I wasn't
Well,
going to
I'm
tell
like full
everybody.
disclosure.
Yeah.
Own that information.
That's your information. I was going to keep it a secret. Okay, so here's the
right.
question I'm going to ask you. Tonight, obviously, Kentucky 10-point favorites at Georgia. Best chance. You can beat them?
I've been riding them to cover, so I like them in the regular season. Yeah, so I think they win. I think they cover.
Okay.
It
don't know
won't
if
be
we're
easy.
supposed to
Georgia's
be
really
gambling.
good at home, and
You calling an upset, Freddie?
here's why: because after all the pomp and no, I didn't say they were going to be upset. I said it's going to be a tough game. Here's why: because of all the pomp and circumstance from Saturday, it could be a potential trap game for this basketball team after
But this
dealing with
is
that
a
at home.
different Kentucky team who's so.
It is
They're
different,
not
but
letting
at the
anybody
same time, it's not going to be an easy game beating Georgia because Georgia is not as bad as the perception. They have 19 wins. I know the SEC is down, but they have 19 wins. You don't think they're going to be amped up at home at Steckman Coliseum? Kentucky's still going to beat them, but it's not going to be a 15-point, 10-point game until the final stages because Georgia will give them a battle. They're finishing undefeated, but it's not going to be an easy game. It may be a tougher game for them going on the road than what happened Saturday when they waylaid Arkansas at Rupp Arena.
So you're saying they win by 10 or less?
I say they win by 11.
Also, they
11.
All right.
11.
Wish you would
They
hang
win
it.
by 11.
All right, let's leave it there. But I do want to remind the folks at home, since we are talking about the game, you don't want to miss it. It's Super Tuesday tonight. First at 7, Iowa faces Indiana. Then at 9, Kentucky takes on Georgia. When we return, it's part 2 of Free Agent Best Fits. The kids are going to have a lot more fun. Should Indomik and Sue be driving out of Motor City? You see what we did there? Driving out.
I like that.
Solid.
Yeah, hello. I don't know. I might question it. We'll be right back in just a few moments.
On the freeway of Sue.
I don't think you mortgage the future and trade up such an expensive move unless you're sure you do not have your future QB on your roster. I'm not so sure of that in Philly. I really like Nick Foles.
I do too. I'm
His
a Nick
last full year with Philly before the injury, he had 27 TDs and 2 interceptions. Those numbers are incredible. He's 6'6". He's only 26 years old. I think they got to give this guy the ball back, see what he can do for them, and then maybe if you decide after you have seen him more, come back from this injury, maybe then in the future, 2 years from now, you go some other direction at QB. But no, you cannot mortgage the future for Mariota.
I love Nick Foles.
DK,
I
what
think
did you
it'll be
pay her
fun.
to say that, DK?
See? I was a Nick Foles believer.
Fool's aid. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. Go ahead.
They don't need a quarterback. They need cornerbacks. Seriously. I mean,
You're right.
Did they not see guys
got
getting
burnt.
posted last year by Des Bryant by the Cowboys or by the Washington
burnt.
Redskins the game after that? I know the seduction of Marcus Mariota is wonderful because you run that offense in Philadelphia, but come on. Nick Foles, I know, had a down year before he broke his collarbone. Trust in that guy, re-sign Jeremy Maclin, and get guys that can cover wide receivers, not another quarterback to throw to wide
Would you
receivers.
guys agree with him? That is their biggest need. They need some corners.
If we'd gone one more on that on our pick,
Yeah,
I had
right?
to go into the Eagles.
Oh, you did?
I had McCourty
Yeah,
going to the Eagles.
I have McCourty going to the
to
Jets.
shore up
Played
all
at
that.
Rutgers, yeah. Played him going to the Jets.
I can't. Anybody going to the Jets, we can't trust you now.
What are you talking
Because
about? You had
you're a
somebody
Jets
going to Jets more than I
She's a
did.
Giants fan, though, so she
I
already
know,
said
but
it, full disclosure.
I'm sorry. That's what makes me mad.
Danny, thank you for joining us. I
Thank
know
you.
you're on vacation after this. You have been so wonderful
fun.
to us. I appreciate you filling in. So
Thank
for
you.
Kate and Freddie, I'm Carrie Champion. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Have a great afternoon, everyone.